Hey, Baes. This is Alicia.
This is Katie.
And this is Paige.
And we are
Crime Bae.
We are a true crime podcast bringing you at least one episode a week.
And we are going to cover a wide range of topics, varying from the more known, well-known stories, your serial killers, to the more lesser-known stories such as
supernatural myths, legends,
cryptids.
Yes.
We know you guys want to know about Mothman.
Mm-hmm.
Who doesn't?
And we're going to be fun and humorous at the appropriate times, too.
and sometimes inappropriate.
And
times.
sometimes inappropriate.
We got to make ourselves laugh to keep from crying, you know? So you follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and Facebook, all at Crime Bae Podcast. Thank you so much. We look forward to making you a bae.
Thank you, babe.
Hasta la pasta.
The subject of today's episode is a method of torture used by the, big surprise here, British, against the Irish during the Irish Rebellion of 1798. An extremely simple, yet devastatingly painful process that left its victims with horrible scars that would cover their head and face. Not the only method that was used at this time, but by far the most terrifying, consisting of cloth, tar, and time. This method would cause even the most dedicated soldier to cave in and give up those they were working with. Today we cover pitchcapping. I'm Kevin Young.
And I'm a proud Irishman, Dan Horgan.
And this is Torture. Oh, fucking hell.
It's going to be fun.
I had yeah. Well, I had a bunch of different ones I was looking at. I was going to go with something completely different for this week, but I saw this. I was like, oh, you know what? Let's talk about this because let Dan go off on a few tangents about his Irish heritage and all.
By lonely prison walls.
So before we get started, we've talked on and on about calls to action, specifically emails. Well, a one Madeline Martin was paying attention, and she answered the call. She writes to us, "Hello, Dan and Kevin." Hello, Madeline.
Hello.
Hello. Thanks for creating a great podcast. I've always been into learning about dark and morbid topics, but try to balance it out with more lighthearted subject matter so I don't go completely crazy. Yeah, we know. Your podcast does both. I've recommended torture to like-minded friends with dark senses of humor with success, and I feel like I have to thank you for introducing Dr. Magnethands as well. I think we enjoyed playing even more than we enjoyed our drinks. Keep being awesome, and we're looking forward to future episodes. Have a great day. I'd almost forgotten that I brought up Dr. Magnethands so many episodes
I
ago.
think if we take anything from doing this entire podcast, we take the fact that you have introduced somebody to Dr. Magnethands, and you probably have forever changed their life. So
I told her, I was like, I'm happy you played Dr. Magnethands. Play it any way you want, as long as somebody does the horrible European accent. That is a must. That's mandatory. The accent is mandatory.
Like
everything else, you just do it. Yeah.
Like all the horrible European accents we did in the last episode.
That I do. Yeah.
Yeah, and I did. Yeah, all the German ones.
Yeah.
My apologies to all my German friends out there.
Oh, they'll be all right. Germans have to. Germans can't take anything too seriously. They don't have the right to. That's coming from a German. So, we're extremely grateful for your support, Madeline, especially the word of mouth promotion. That's That's huge. Letting people know that you're listening to the show and getting it out there, that's huge. I know telling people that you listen to this kind of podcast can be awkward. It's awkward for me to tell people about it as well. I created the fucking thing. So
I'm asked all the time as well. I was like, yeah, you're doing a podcast. Like, yeah. What's it about? Well,
what's it about?
How do I explain this?
You do the whole, you don't want to listen. You don't want to know. Don't worry about it. Just go listen to something else. Listen to Serial. That's fine. But thank you for the email. If you would like to get your name on the pod, just like Madeline, email us, torturepod@gmail.com. Tell a friend, or actually better off telling a stranger in like an elevator to listen to the show, because it doesn't matter if they judge you. You don't know them. But it does help. So thanks. Oh, fuck. I apologize if there's any sound differences on this episode. For some reason, our connections are really laggy today. I don't know if it's weather or, Dan, you just had your internet worked on over there. I don't know if that has anything to do with it.
I wouldn't exactly say worked on, but yeah. Yeah, we lost connection last week. Had to get a guy out to get it restored and have some issues, and apparently they were trying to push too strong of a connection through the line. Now our connection here is pretty bad. We find it very funny though how realistically in America you could live in a ranch in the middle of absolutely nowhere, 100 miles from any ounce of civilization, and have better internet than we have here. And like ours is, I'm pretty sure, is running on a potato, as I've said before. So,
yes, you said that.
So it's really, really bad. But yeah, I'm working on ways of getting it a little bit better in the house for up here, like getting those. I can't remember what you call them. I have a couple of things in my Amazon basket to do that, where I read like a booster type thing. So I get nothing but pure clean signal through from the router downstairs. Yeah. So. But yeah, Irish internet is pretty crap, to say the least.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Huh. All right. Well, we'll soldier through, and I'll just edit everything. This is why you both people record at their houses, so they can all be cut in.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a big deal. Mm-hmm. All right. So you don't really have to have an extensive knowledge on the Irish Rebellion of 1798, and I will at some point say 1978. It will happen. I apologize. To understand why pitchcapping was such a horrifying torture, but it helps to know what was going on at the time. So, Dan, being our resident Irishman, can you please give us a quick Cliff Notes version of the rebellion so everybody knows kind of what we're talking about?
Quick, easy version is English bad, Irish good. Yeah. Well, funnily enough, I had to do a bit of research into this myself because I completely forgot everything to do with Irish history. The one thing I did know from it is a man called Wolf Tone, who everybody in the country knows. There's actually a music group called the Wolf Tones. You should listen to them. They're traditional Irish music, so it's pretty good. But anyway, so essentially, yeah, so Ireland was always ruled by the British for the longest of time. So the majority of Ireland itself was Catholic, but it was dominated by a Protestant ascendancy. Catholics had very few rights originally, like weren't allowed to carry weapons and were excluded from military and administration. And the British government could veto all decisions made by Irish people effectively in the little sort of government that they allowed us to have. Right. The Irish had an extension of rights, but during the American War of Independence and basically I believe it was the French Civil War, wasn't it? I believe. Yeah. Inspired.
Yeah.
The
French
Irish
had
effectively
their big rebellion. Yeah.
Yeah, and that kind of got the Irish up and riled and ready to go, and kind of like, yeah, we're kind of tired of the English boot upon our throat.
It scared the piss out of the English too, because they saw what was coming.
Well, see, that's the thing though, is that both times we've had big rebellions, they've both been cases where the Irish have been very opportunistic. They're like, hey, they're off fighting somewhere else. Let's take our chances here now and start fighting.
Uh-huh.
You know,
it's kind of what you got to do.
Yeah. Exactly, yeah. But So Irish resistance groups started cropping up around 1780s. One known as the Society of United Irishmen, which were Catholics and non-conformist Protestants made up of. So they could have been Protestants, but they did not conform, obviously, to British rule. They did not agree with it.
Right.
And then another group called the Defenders, which were effectively based around rural areas as opposed to primary areas like Dublin and major towns and stuff like that, like Cork.
It's just it's a superhero team name.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, the Defenders. Yeah, exactly. But yeah. So let me see here now. Sorry, I have other notes here to do with it. So the rebellion itself lasted for a measly few months. It was May to September 1798. Yeah. And as I said, on one side you had the United Irishmen and the French Republic, and on the other side then you had the Kingdom of Britain and the, people can't see me doing these air quotes, Kingdom of Ireland.
Right.
And it was
right.
thusly named because of the British rule at the time, even though we did have our own kings at one stage. That doesn't matter. Anyway, so a couple of little cliff notes to kind of note about it is that the Irish Church in 1795 sided with Britain and basically refused to acknowledge any form of rebellion after the foundation of the Catholic Maynooth College, which is a college that's still, I grew up very close to it, it's still running and everything like that, but basically it was, as far as I'm aware, the British basically built the church this college, and they went, oh, thanks for that, we won't go against you. So so the infamous Wolfe Tone was a very prominent figure in Irish history. In 19 I nearly did a U on it. That's Billy Corgan saying about 1979. In 1796, Wolfe Tone went to Paris to try and convince the French Republic to assist the Irish for when the rebellion would begin. The rebellion began in 1798, as I said, and the majority of the fighting actually took place in Wicklow, which is in the southeast of the country, just south of Dublin, basically. And the Irish had a very decisive victory, though, out west in Castlebar in County Mayo. And I know we're going to hear this. Oh, Mayo, it's a condiment. Ha 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 ha. We've heard that joke loads of times. Please don't make that joke to us.
I'll have County Mayo in my notes, so you're good.
But Mayo is part of one of the four provinces of the country, and the province out west is called Connacht. And basically, the Irish declared the Republic of Connacht after they won that battle, as they drove the British out of the area. And the Republic of Connacht lasted all of 2 weeks, and they lost the territory again. The French were late to the party. They came very, very late, as they're wont to do. You know, they came with the white flags at the ready, though. You know, a whole ship full of them. And the rebellion was basically routed out come September. You know, it was great attempt, boys. You know, it paved the way. We're proud of you. Don't worry, we remember you all. I don't remember any of them. I don't know any of them. But
they tried. I mean,
look. They did more than I've done. You know,
fair enough.
So in that case, yeah. But yeah, that's kind of it. Like, that's kind of the quick version of it. You know, it lasted nearly as long as the actual rebellion did itself there. But you know,
yeah,
they tried.
Yeah. Before I go on, do you have Mystery Science Theater 3000 over there?
Not that I'm aware of. No, I don't.
No,
I don't recognize it.
I don't know if you understood my background or not.
I thought it was like the background from the Robin Sparkles thing from How I Met Your Mother. No, she's in the spaceship.
It's Mystery Science Theater 3000, which is pretty much just an astronaut and some robots are floating in space, and an evil genius is making them watch the worst movies ever made, and they just sit there and comment the whole time.
Oh, okay.
It's look it up next time you guys look up the Mystery Science Theater 3000 movie, where they watched This Island Earth, and it's one of the funniest things you'll ever watch in your life. It's fucking great.
Oh, cool. Okay. I probably won't do that because it sounds pretty shit. But
no, the movie that they watch is horrible. This Island Earth is fucking is a horrible movie, but the Mystery Science Theater 3000 is fucking hilarious. It's great.
We actually watched one of the worst movies we've ever seen, ever.
What's that?
It's this absolute and utter horrible piece of garbage called Shattered that I was trying to put up an IMDb review to call it Shittered, but it wouldn't let me do it. It's 90 something minutes or whatever of your life you just would never get back. It's
Really? That sucks.
Yeah.
We watched Smile the other night.
like
You
good.
seen that yet?
No, not yet. No.
It was all right. My wife jumped a handful of times, which is always fun. I don't care how good or bad the movie is. If it can make my wife jump a few times, it's good in my book. So she
Cool.
jumped a few times. It's interesting. I wouldn't put it up there with the best ever or anything, but it definitely gives you the creeps.
Cool.
So if that's what you're going for.
Yeah. Let's check it out.
All right. Well, there's Movie Hour with Dan and Kevin.
Yep.
Let's get back to the fucking show.
Take a snippet out and we can make a separate podcast.
It was my fault. I started it. All right. So, yes, there you got the United Irishmen fighting against pretty much, the British, the Church of England, Protestants versus Catholics. And not everybody who was fighting the British side was British. There were some, Irish nobility that were fighting along with the British because they actually made off better doing it that way than if they would have fought with the Irish. So those that rebelled against the British were known as Croppies. Now, these were Irish nationalists that opposed the wearing of the powdered periwigs closely associated with the members of the Protestant ascendancy. Like Dan had said, the Protestant ascendancy was the political, economic, and social domination of Ireland between the 17th and the 20th century by a minority of landowners, Protestant clergy, members of the Church of Ireland, or the Church of England. And they excluded groups like Roman Catholics, Presbyterians, Jews from politics, just like Dan had said. And they wore those weird white wigs to show their status in society. I think they wore them because they were riddled with lice, and it kind of
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, you got to imagine because nobody cleaned themselves back then, and they're already covered in shit.
Not yeah.
So
yeah
you
that's
got to
true.
think they were. It was you wear the white wigs because of the fleas. You put on the cake fucking makeup because your skin is horrible because you never fucking bathe, and your half of you are fucking it's all incest and all that shit. Fucking British. Thank you for all of our British fans out there, by the way.
Give you a little interesting little factoid. It's not necessarily a factoid. It's more of a conspiracy, an Irish conspiracy.
Of course.
It is thought that the Great Irish Famine was started because of that rebellion some years later to reduce the Irish population and to have them more under the heel, shall we say? Because
to punish them and to be like, don't do that again, motherfucker.
Yep, basically, yeah, and to control everything to do with it. So, yep. Anyway, sorry, continue.
I would not doubt it. That would not surprise me at all to find out that was actually how.
First, you take away our land, then you take away our freedom, and then you take away our potatoes. No dice.
You can, all right. The first two. All right, you're pushing it, but that third one, you motherfucker, now you've gone too far. Take away fucking potatoes. That'd be the same thing here if like Twinkies. But, you took all the ranch dressing. We'll do anything you want. Just give us the ranch
I was
dressing.
going to say, is Twinkies are like what, the 6th major food group over there or something? Aren't they?
Yeah, it's one of them. They're on the food pyramid. I think there's like an offshoot for snack cakes. It's a big business over here.
That they're made out of styrofoam. Ugh, horrible thing.
Oh, I love them. I'm not a huge Twinkie fan, but I do love snack cakes. They are delicious.
Fair enough.
Star Crunch especially, which aren't really cakes.
Never
but,
heard of those.
Okay.
Star
Crunch?
Yeah.
They're like puffed rice that are covered in chocolate and caramel, and they're I will when we send each other our care package, which we need to figure out what we're sending each other so we can do that. I will send you a handful of Star Crunch.
I just googled
they
them.
will. Yeah,
It won't appear on my
Yeah,
camera,
they look- no,
Okay.
but I know what they look like. I've seen them.
I just wanted to make sure that these
They
were
have-
the same thing. But oh my god, they look good.
Oh, yeah, they're fucking delicious. They're my favorite. Okay, so there's food hour. Damn it, we've covered movies, we've covered food. So the crappies, called the crappies because they wore their hair cropped, cut short to rebel against the ascendancy. Now, many that wore their hair short would be arrested, suspected to be a rebel or a member of the United Irishmen, a group that was leading the rebellion against the ascendancy. Now, these men weren't just arrested. If you couldn't guess from the fact that the story is being told on this show, they were also tortured in various ways. They were flogged, so beaten with any number of tools, whips, clubs, what have you. They were half hanged, which this is something else. That's where you would hang someone to the point of unconsciousness, just to the brink of death, then drop them down.
Oh,
Let them catch their
bastards.
breath,
Yeah.
get a little strength back, and then hang them again. Over and over until, the fun's over. Or it didn't say that many people died. They didn't, honestly, from the look of it, they didn't kill a ton of them. It was more of a beat down to tell them to just knock it the fuck off.
Yeah,
But
they
they
needed
do
the
it
people
over-
there. That's at the time. They couldn't kill everyone because then there'd be nobody there to fucking grow their potatoes and shit for them.
Yeah, you gotta have somebody to rule over, somebody to do all
Exactly,
the grunt work. Kill them, they're not gonna be there. They're also picketed, which meant the rebels were made to stand on the narrow, flat top of a peg for however long. Now, these pegs were more like stakes driven down in the ground, and they were called pickets. Now, a rope would be thrown over a tree branch and it would be tied to the wrist of the offender and then wrenched up, leaving the heel or sole of the opposite foot resting on top of the picket. It would cause a lot of pain, but unless something went horribly wrong, there'd be no lasting damage. It would just be kind of like a, ha-ha, how's that feel, motherfucker, type
Yeah.
thing. But by far the worst of these tortures that the crappies endured was that of pitchcapping. So, what was it? Well, the torturer would boil up some pitch or tar. It's usually used to seal waterproof seams in the sides of ships and boats. Thick, black, half solid, half fluid shit. I don't know out there if you've seen tar, if you've ever been around tar. I worked in construction for a long time. I work with tar a few times. It gets on you. Fucking sucks.
Yep.
Because it does not. It's hot as shit when it's liquid, and it does not come off for anything. Well, there is one way to get it off. You're about to find out. So they would make the torturer would make a cap out of paper or strong linen, whatever they had lying around, honestly. They weren't really too concerned with the fabric used as long as it was strong enough to hold together once, pulled. Now, these caps would often be conical in shape, like a dunce cap or a birthday cap, but bigger in order to come into contact with more of the scalp. Now, the boiling pitch would then be scooped or poured quickly into the cap while it was still, hot, and then shoved onto the crappies' heads, being pressed hard, really get it stuck on there. Then they would simply wait for the tar to cool. When I say simply wait, the torturer would wait. The crappie would scream in agony and beg for death.
Because, there ain't nothing simple about his waiting. Anyway. Doop-doop-doop-doop.
We're just going to put that on your head, and now we just wait and sit back. And they're like, oh, is that all we fucking do? Yeah, you just sit there and wait.
Can I get you a tea, coffee, rack of lamb, anything you want?
After it cooled, they would simply grab a corner of the fabric and pull. The victim would usually suffer loss of skin and tissue around the heads. Sometimes they poured the pitch into the nose and mouth, but this was more of an execution of torture method, so it wasn't done very often. I know if you few of the different articles you could look up, and Wikipedia, obviously, you look up, and they kind of allude to like ancient Roman times where they would actually pour molten metal into people's mouths and noses and stuff like that. That's not really the same thing. That's deliberately killing some. I mean, you're obviously going to kill somebody doing that. That was not the point of this practice for pitch capping. This was more of this is going to hurt like shit, and you're never going to forget about it. So don't try to rebel again type thing. And sometimes they wouldn't even bother making the cap, go through all that part. They just pour the pitch onto the head and then press a piece of cloth onto it real hard and just let it cool. And then they'd grab it and rip it off. As long as they had something to grab and pull, they didn't really give a fuck. It's just the conical shape kind of, gave it up.
I was going to say, it's kind of like the first form of waxing, but in a really, really bad way.
When I read about this, I thought about all the waxing videos that my wife has made me watch.
Yeah.
And it's like, that could go horribly wrong.
I can just imagine that. Yeah, there's this guy, the first guy who decided to start doing pitch capping. His surname was Veet or something like that.
Veet and Nair. Yeah, luckily wax isn't as, sticky and viscous as tar to take your skin off. However, you can take off a layer of skin if you have enough hair there that gets pulled out. It will pull some skin out. So be careful.
Waxing tips from Kevin. Yeah. It's educational too. This is wonderful.
That was a waxing hour with Dan. What else can we cover today? So be careful when you're waxing. Don't use tar, and you should be all right though. The Society of United Irishmen member Miles Byrne described pitch capping in his memoirs. Flogging, half-hanging, picketing were mild tortures in comparison of the pitch caps that were applied to the heads of those who happened to wear their hair short, called crappies, the head being completely singed, a cap made of strong linen well imbued with boiling pitch so closely put on that it could not be taken off without bringing off a part of the skin and flesh from the head. In many instances, the tortured victim had one of his ears cut off to satisfy the executioner that if he escaped, he could readily be discovered, being so well marked. So yes, along with the pitch capping, sometimes the torturer would cut off at least one ear
to mark
or
them.
Whatever. They say it's, if they get away, we'll know, that's the guy we had because, he's missing an ear.
Oh, so before they pitch cap them, they cut the ear off. Or during or after. That's what, it's like, yeah. How else you're going to know you got him already because half his head's going to be missing. Like,
exactly. That's what I was thinking too.
It's like he's wearing a hat. How else we recognize him? Oh, chop his ear off, just in case.
Oh, he's wearing a beanie. I can't tell if we pitch capped him because he's wearing that beanie.
Take off those headphones.
Well, he's only got one earbud in. That's ours. Yeah. Oh, fucking hell.
Are his glasses slanted?
Now, this wasn't just, hey, you're rebelling, we have to teach you a lesson type thing either. The British really got a kick out of doing these things to the Irish. I mean, they had fun as shit while they were doing it. While it was happening, the victims' arms were tied behind their backs, and their feet were tied together so they couldn't run away. But after the pitch cap was applied, many times, the victim's feet would be untied so they could get up and run around screaming in agony, doing anything they could to get the pitch cap off. Sometimes they'd start slamming their heads into brick walls over and over in order to either knock themselves out or kill themselves to end the pain. And the British, would just sit back and laugh and have a good old time.
Drinking their
throw rocks at
cups of tea with their pinkies up and having tea and crumpets at high noon. The bastards. look at him run in circles.
Look at him running like a peasant. Run, little peasant, run.
Don't worry, we'll show you.
Well, the guy's just going, ah! Yeah, slamming his head into the fucking wall to probably kill himself. I'd imagine you probably put it against the wall and kind of scrape down to try to peel off some of the tar, but then of course it would start peeling off your face, and you'd stop.
And it's for reasons like this, kids, that we like beating England in sporting events, especially the rugby. You know, it's
is that the big one, the rugby?
typically it's rugby because it's wasn't rugby not devised from like warriors fighting or something like that? It's supposed to be like the most physical. It's supposed to be like one of the most physical yokes. It's meant to be like their whole thing is like, oh, it's warriors on the battlefield, but sport, like, you know, it's which is what sport really is. And the end of the day, it was supposed to be feats of athleticism and all that lark, you know. But yeah.
Well, there you go.
Damn English. Let's continue.
Fucking English. So the most famous victim was one Anthony Perry, known as the Screeching General, one of the most important leaders of the United Irish Wexford rebels. Born in County Down into a Protestant family, he acquired a college education and in the late 1790s was a resident of Perrymount. Am I saying that right? Perrymount?
I don't know. Never. Where's Perrymount? I never heard of Perrymount. How do you spell it?
Perrymount near Inch, North County, Wexford.
I know Inch. All right. Yeah, it'd be Perry.
No,
yeah,
Inch?
I just googled it. Yeah, that's Perrymount. Yeah.
Okay. Well, because the last time we spoke with English towns, had an episode of English towns. It was the town care and the ducking episode, and you were sure to tell me later of all. You just let me go.
Oh yeah, they're the ones.
All the names of the towns.
Yeah.
I was saying wrong.
Because
I pronounced.
But they were English towns, so I didn't really care.
Well, I just. Well, yeah, I understand, but I was just saying them the way that they were spelled out, the way they looked, because I'm American and I don't care. But.
There's a
like,
memorial
a bunch of those wrong.
There's a memorial forum there near that town. I just saw it on Google Maps.
Is that the statue with the men with the pikes standing there?
No, it's just like a stone thing. Like it's an obelisk type thing that has in memory of people who basically, including himself.
Just a stone.
Yeah, well, with a 1798 car. Yeah, it's just little rocks.
We should have a monument to all these people that died. Well, how about that rock?
Yeah.
All right.
It's just a potato with his name carved into it. That's all it is.
It shall sprout for years.
Oh yeah, it's just down the road from Perrymount House or something like that. So yeah, there you go. Yeah, I didn't know that. Now learned something new.
Oh, see. It's an educational podcast. So Anthony Perry, he would derive his income from commercial agriculture, though known also as a gentleman of fortune. Again, his family was fairly prosperous as far as agriculture goes. 1796, he enlisted in the Coolgreeny Yeoman Cavalry and was appointed second lieutenant. Is Coolgreeny, is that right? Or do you not know that one?
How do you spell it?
Coolgreeny. Coolgreany.
I would have said Coolgreeny, yeah.
Coolgreeny? Okay.
Yeah.
Just making sure. Okay. The Coolgreeny Yeoman Cavalry. Yeah. So he soon afterwards sided with the rebels, having witnessed the atrocities committed by the yeomanry. Took the United Irish Oath in April 1797 and was awarded the rank of colonel. Now you'd be asking, what the fuck is a yeoman? Well, Webster's definition of a yeoman goes as such: an attendant or officer in a royal or noble household, a person attending or assisting another, a naval petty officer who performs clerical duties, a person who owns and cultivates a small farm, specifically one belonging to a class of English freeholders below the gentry, a person of social rank of yeoman, or one that performs great and loyal service. So,
I'm sorry, hold on. So a yeoman is somebody who holds the rank of yeoman. Like, that's what one of them basically said.
Yeah,
and you could be
yeah,
of extreme noble lineage, or you could be a clerical staff member in the Navy.
or a farmer.
Oh, cool. Okay, so you could go around.
Which
yo, I'm a
really,
human. Oh, who cares?
yeah. So really, the farmer aspect is what I think they're really working on here, because most of these people were farmers, landowners. Pretty much just a bunch of prosperous Protestant farmers and landowners that supported the ascendancy. So a lot of these yeomen got together and formed the yeomanry. What the fuck is that? Well, pretty much just a volunteer cavalry force. Traditionally, this makeshift militia was used to protect from outside forces like the French.
I love makeshift militias. They're better than real militias.
Makeshift militia. Now, during the rebellion, this yeomanry was used to wrangle up the rebels or anyone that stood against or spoke out against the ascendancy. So, there you go. Now you know. You know what a yeoman is, kinda, and you know what a yeomanry is. It's just a bunch of posh farmers that got together and decided to be dibs.
Yeah, yeoman could be anything, basically.
Yeah. What are you, yeoman? What do you do? I don't know.
Yeah.
Good enough.
Yeah.
So now you know. Okay, now back to Anthony Perry. He was arrested May 23rd, 1798, confined in Gorey Market House for several days. He endured 48 hours of brutal torture by a number of militiamen, including the infamous Tom the Devil, giving way to his captors after suffering the agony of pitchcapping. He disclosed the names of several South Wexford United Irish leaders. Perry was let out in the afternoon of the 26th and was nursed in a house near Gorey, wedges of his skin having peeled off his skull and face.
Nice.
Metal. Yeah. So now I mention the name Tom the Devil. Now this was Thomas Honum, a sergeant in the yeoman militia, was said to have perfected the art of pitchcapping. He was known for applying moistened gunpowder to the close-cropped scalp and then setting it on fire and letting them just kind of, run around with the head full of flame.
Nice.
Tom would become so feared that his name would go on to be somewhat of a folklore villain for the next couple centuries. At least, that's what the internet tells me. Dan tells me something different. And I ask you who Tom the Devil was, you're like, I don't fucking know.
Yeah, I don't. I know his cousin. I go drinking with him every other weekend. We're such a small place. Now, I didn't know about him myself, being honest, but I looked him up, and it apparently he's known as Tom the Divil over this side, which is an Irish slang term for devil. But
Divil,
yeah, you little devil, or whatever. But I didn't have a clue about old Tom. Never heard of him before. Yeah. I don't know what else to say.
Oh well, that's fine.
I bet you he doesn't have a potato monument dedicated to him, though.
We can't all know everything. Now, if you look up pictures of pitchcapping, not much will come up. There is one, however, and it's usually the same one over and over and over again. And this is of Captain Richard Swain of the Cork Militia and his torturing of the people of the village of Prosperous, the site of the first battle of 1798. Now, apparently, Swain and his company sacked the town on the 20th of May and began just pitch-capping anyone with short hair. It was indicated to Swain by Dr. John Esmond, who himself was actually a United Irishman. Swain did not realize that. I guess he was kind of doing a little undercover work. He told him that weapons would be delivered to Swain under the cover of darkness on the evening of the 24th. But on that night, rather than handing over weapons, the rebels attacked the barracks again. Doing it at times that are most, just like how they attacked, they rebelled when the British were at war somewhere else.
Yeah.
They're taking advantage of the situation.
Opportunistic.
That's the word I was looking for. Very good. Thank you. Now, most of the militia company was killed, and Swain himself was surprised in bed, shot and piked to death, and his body burned in a tar barrel. Probably the same tar barrel they were using to pitch cap people. Apparently, this could have all been avoided by the simplest of measures. William Hamilton Maxwell, in his History of the Irish Rebellion of 1798, says Swain's military judgment he goes as far as calling it stupidity.
Nice.
He points out that if Swain would have just put a cart in the middle of the road in front of the barracks and put a few more pickets out, he would have had enough time to get up and attack the rebels and probably win. But instead, he's like, fuck it. Goes to bed, and next thing you know, he's burning in a barrel of tar.
It's pretty funny, though, in some ways.
Yeah. In some ways. Now, unlike the scalping found in America during the wars between the white man and the natives, or the molten metal used in ancient Rome, pitchcapping was almost exclusively used to severely scar the victim, as to remind them and to show everyone else what happens when you go against the ascendancy or the Church of England. And that's honestly all I have for pitchcapping. I really hope I was going to have more, but there's not a whole lot out there. But I wanted to cover it just because it seems fucking horrible.
Yeah, but there's not an awful lot you can say about pouring tar on somebody's head and ripping it off.
Peeling it off.
Yeah. Yeah,
I tried to get it's like where did it start? Apparently it started here. It kind of ended here too. So
well, while there may not be any actual pitch capping in it, I can go onto IMDb here. Well, not really, but anyway, recommendation for people if you want to have a look at a bit of Irish history and stuff like that. There's a film out there it's based on a book that was about the 1798 rebellion, but it actually takes place instead during the Easter Rebellion and the War of Independence, the one we actually won in the end. Yeah, except for whatever reason, it's obviously a better backdrop and stuff like that for films and stuff like that. But if you watch The Wind That Shakes the Barley is the name of it. There's no pitch cap. Yeah, the book was called The Wind That Shakes the Barley, and there's multiple things on it. Apparently, it's heavily based on both that the song. Sorry, there's a song called The Wind That Shakes the Barley, and there is a book called The Scorching Wind that's heavily based on as well, and stuff like that. So it's a bit of everything in there. Great film, very good. I'd actually watch it right now. I think it's that good. It's Cillian Murphy in it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm sure you'd like it.
Scarecrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well worth the watch.
And 28 days later.
Yeah.
And
Liam Cunningham is also in it.
Blinders.
The Onion Knight from Game of Thrones.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so there you go. Well worth it. Alas, it's not about this particular thing, but it slightly ties into a certain extent.
I guess if you're going to make a movie, you probably want to pick the one that you win, not the one that you kind of peter out.
Yeah. Well, look.
It's like a movie about the Irish Rebellion of 1798.
It ain't no Mick Jagger in a Mark I Iron Man costume, but, it's still worth it.
Sean Connery as a Spaniard.
Yeah. Or Spanish Prince.
All right, fuck. So we would like to thank the Crime Bae podcast for starting up this episode. Link to all their stuff will be in our show notes. Follow us on Instagram and all the other social medias at TorturePod. Email us, torturepod@gmail.com. If there's anything you would like for us to cover, or if you have any comments, you rate, review on Apple. I think Podchaser still does it. There's probably a couple other ones that I'm forgetting. But if you listen somewhere where you can rate and review, please do. It really helps us. Good pods, too. You can do it on there. Follow or subscribe to us on whatever service you listen on. If you're just picking up the episode. Somebody tells you, you're in an elevator and Madeline tells you about the episode. just pull it up and just hit subscribe. It really helps us. Head over to our YouTube page where I'm doing little, snippets and excerpts from the show where you can actually see our bright and shining faces. You'll get to see these more if you sign on to our Patreon, which I promise, working on. If you'd like to donate to the show, you can in either our link tree, where you can find on our socials, or buy us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/torturepod, which can also be found on our link tree, which is, again, on our socials. Currently working on more merch. I got a few ideas in mind that I'm trying to put out. I'm sure Dan does too, and we're going to get those put up eventually, and the Patreon. But before we go, I want everyone to go, after, obviously, you're done listening to this episode, go over to the Please Don't Follow Me Home podcast and listen to, well, as of today, their latest episode. By the time this comes out, I'm sure they will have.
I can tell you the date was uploaded if you want. I used to have Spotify open, so I can have a look. It was the one uploaded on the 27th of February 2023, just in case anybody listens in the future. It's the Riverdale Road and San Francisco Dam Disaster episode.
Yes. It's a good episode. It's a great podcast, so go listen to it anyway. But listen first to that episode. Listen to that episode specifically, because you can finally hear Dan's song for Joey. And I gotta tell you, it's a fucking masterpiece.
No, it isn't. I was nearly crying when I heard it back. It was really funny because I was like, oh, they have a new episode, I better listen to that. And I stuck it on, and the next thing then I heard my own voice, and I'm like, oh my God, here we go. Could hear it starting, I was like, oh Christ, no. But
well, I had sent it to them, to her, and she listened to it, and she was ecstatic. She's like, thank you so much, this is great. I told her that she can do whatever she wants with it. We're not going to play it on our podcast, it belongs to them. We will, however, have it on our Patreon, so if you want to get it there, when Patreon gets up, that will be there. I just let her know that if she takes it and sells 1 million copies and makes a bunch of money, that you want a writer's credit and 20%. So
I might get a more kind of professional finished version of it done at some stage, just to because it's like the microphone being used for it doesn't really suit what's needed, and and again, apologies, it took so long to actually get done just because life and part of it, I'll admit, was also nerves.
It was very Johnny Cashy.
That's the vibe I was going for with it. Yeah, I was like, because he can talk more than anything.
The speak. It was almost like a Man Named
That's
Sue
exactly
type.
the one. That's exactly what I was going for.
That's what popped in my head when I was listening to it. I was like, what does this remind me of? I was like, sing it. Fucking shit, this is Johnny Cash. Fucking Man Named Sue. Yeah. So Boy Named Sue or whatever.
Boy Named Sue,
yeah, Boy Named Sue. Trust me, you will not be disappointed.
Yes, you will.
No, you will not. I was listening to it last night at work, and I was just like, oh my God, this is so... I've heard it already a dozen times. He messaged it to me, and I listened to it a few times. I was like, this is great. She's going to love it. I hope she loves it. And then she did, and then she played it on the podcast. So go listen to that episode. Listen to Dan's.
The reactions I thought were really funny, I have to say. Thanks to Jimmy and Joey. Like I said, I thought I was sitting there just like, oh my God, this is horrible. And then Jimmy's like, this is the best thing ever.
They loved it. They absolutely love it. And I told my wife, I was like, they're like, oh, this is the coolest thing we've ever heard. She's like, I don't know if I would go that far. I was like, fuck you. Because if somebody wrote a song about our podcast,
that's gonna say,
we'd be like, this is the greatest thing ever. She's like, but my wife is much more hard to please.
You're dead to me, Stephanie.
She's like, okay. It's like, no, you wrote a song for them and they loved it. That's all matters.
There may be more in the future. We will see how things go.
That would be great. You should write a song for every podcast that we're friends with.
They've been waiting 15 years. Like I said already, part of the one part of the reason was I kept trying to get something down, and it just wasn't sounding good enough to me at all. Part of it was nerves and stuff like that as well, so I was kind of like, oh god, what am I going to do? And then and I think I went through about 15 different like music tracks of different attempts to things, and I only sent you like two of them, 2 different ideas, and I've gone through so many of them, and I'm sitting there kind of going, no, this isn't good enough, no, this is crap, this is terrible. And eventually, as I send them on to another friend as well, and he's like, no, these are good, man, you should send these on. I'm like, no, they're crap. But
send them all. Just
that's the thing, yeah. So I'm my own worst judge, I'd say, in some ways. But yeah.
Oh well, yeah, I'm sure.
Totally glad it's done now.
Me too. I'm glad you did it.
Yeah.
It's done and over with, and they're happy with it. So a hint for our next episode, ironically enough, will be our first listener-suggested episode. And once again, thank you, Joey. If you were listening to the episode where we talked about her email and where this whole thing started with Dan writing her a song on it, you would know what our next episode is. If not, I would say go back and listen to the whole catalog of episodes that we have, and you'll find it.
It's a great idea.
You want to know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Go listen to all of them. That's all I got. But it's a short episode. I'm sorry, but that's all I got.
It's all
hopefully, good. Yeah. I want to thank everybody for the previous 3 episodes for hanging in there, listening to those. Those were much longer episodes, so this one's kind of a little episode to cleanse the palate. But we got a lot of listens to those last 3 episodes. I mean, yeah. Well, usually with it ranks like the last 30 days or 120 days, however much I want, into how many listens each episode got. And usually our new episodes are halfway down the list because older episodes have gotten listened to more.
Yeah.
Those things shot straight up to the fucking top. I think it's like
cool.
The third, and then the first, and then the second goes 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
And then the rest. So
that's pretty cool.
Either people liked it or people didn't like it, but they listened long enough for it to register in our analytics.
Yeah.
One or the other.
Or people are Googling some really strange words out there. So I appreciate the listens, but
Yeah, it's great that you people are listening to the show, but I think you need therapy. What the fuck are you doing? Shouldn't be that many people listening to those episodes.
They're the ones I didn't listen to on purpose. Like I avoided the second one on purpose because I was like, right, I already sat through that, and that's a bit much.
Well, especially the second one.
Yeah.
First one's not near as bad. Third one's not bad really at all. Third one's actually pretty decent. People get their comeuppance, but the second one was horrible.
Yeah.
But I want to thank you to everybody that sat through that.
Yeah.
So
thank you very much.
A little bit of a shorter episode, so you guys don't have to sit through that. We were actually next episode was actually going to be more of that child abuse and rape and shit like that, and I was like, no, we can't. I got to do something else. We can't do that again. Put that off a few more weeks.
Yeah, be a bit too heavy.
Yeah.
Even for me.
But yeah, even for the beaten down Irishman, that's just too much.
Emotional pitch capping.
You just, oh god, that would have been the best Valentine's. You pitched cap my heart.
Oh god.
Okay, that's all I got. I'm done. Take care of yourselves. Take care of one another. And we'll see you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.